Welcome back to a chilling night of terrifyingly scary night shift stories. Our first story is, I work night shift at a gas station. The gas station gig isn't the job of my dreams, but when your diet becomes nothing but a steady stream of top ramen and tap water, you take what you can get. Thing is, the gas station I work at is different. For starters, we don't sell any brand you'd recognize. There's brands like Po Chips and Drink. Some are written in a language that I don't recognize. We're allowed to eat whatever we'd like though, so I've tried almost everything. I do not recommend Drink. We don't get very many customers on the night shift, but the ones we do, our regulars, are off. Like Plaid Shirt, who comes in about once a week and buys the same map every time. He's also always in the same plaid shirt. And Mr. Freeze, who comes in sporadically but always stares at the frozen section. He doesn't do anything else, and no amount of interaction will break his focus. He leaves after about 30 minutes. When he first started coming in, my coworker, Jude, and I used to take turns asking if he needed help finding anything. Now we have a competition to see who can balance the most snack cakes on his shoulders before they fall. I currently hold the record at 8. Jude and I are definitely unlikely friends, as he's a 40-something-year-old man built like Frankenstein's monster. And I'm a 28-year-old woman who frequently forgets she's an adult. He's been working here longer than I have, though, and showed me the ropes when I first started. Even talked me off the ledge of quitting after my very first shift. I'd had my first experience with the trash, and after vomiting profusely, I was ready to go. That's the other thing about the gas station. Yeah, the customers are pretty weird, but the place itself does things. Really weird things. The trash is one of them. We have to take it out every night at 5 minutes to midnight. Can't do it sooner, and we're fucked if we do it any later. It fills to the brim with a grotesque compilation of maggots, centipedes, and other abominations that probably crawled up from hell itself. Our job is to take that bag, or bags, depending on the night, and deliver it to the edge of the parking lot. Jude says the trashman comes to collect it, but I've never seen him. Jude says I should be glad. Last shift started as usual. Jude was already there when I clocked in, and I tossed my backpack in my locker and made my way behind the counter to watch the telenovela Jude always has playing on the mini TV stashed behind the counter. We usually pass the time this way, and even though we can't speak the language, the drama is always understood. It was about 11:45 when they arrived. A family of 4, mother, father, and 2 kids. We could hear them from the parking lot, the father's booming voice overtaking the mother's light, even tone. Jude and I exchanged a curious look, and reluctantly I turned off the mini TV. The bell above the door rang its shrill song as the father pushed the door open. Mother followed next, and behind her, a little girl, and a little boy with a beagle and a blue collar that danced around his feet, nearly tripping him. Stupid dog. The father scolded as he grabbed the boy by the back of his shirt to save him from falling. Adam, the mother scolded. With their slick hairstyles and 70s-style clothing, they looked incredibly out of place in the lobby. Jude and I glanced at each other again. We'd never seen any of them before. Excuse me, the father, Adam, approached the counter. We can't seem to find our way back to the highway. Would you be able to give us directions? We have an excellent collection of maps, Jude offered, motioning to the display rack. They are. As Adam mused, his wife and daughter stepped up. Where's your lavatory? The woman asked, her tone urgent as the girl in front of her shifted her weight from foot to foot. Rachel, really? I wanted to be out of here in a jiffy and back on the road. Adam's tone was condescending as he addressed his wife. Rachel rolled her eyes. Dawn needs to go, she replied matter-of-factly. It's just down the hall, second door on your right. I pointed, and Rachel nodded, ushering Dawn along. I turned to Jude, wanting to ask if I should warn them about the woman in the bathroom, but he was preoccupied with Adam's questions about the maps. Rustling drew my attention to the little boy and the dog who were rooting around the shelves, searching for snacks. Dad, I want these, the boy whined. Adam ignored him as he glanced between 2 maps, trying to make a final decision. The boy gathered up an armful of snacks and shuffled up to the counter, the beagle on his heels. "I'll take this one." Adam slid the map toward the register as his son released his cache of snacks onto the counter. "And those, too." While Jude began ringing up the items, I slipped from behind the counter and walked briskly to the women's restroom, bracing myself before opening the door. I was surprised to see Rachel and Dawn at the sinks, washing their hands. They were surprised to see me peeking through the door, too. I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. I called out, scanning the restroom for anything abnormal. Rachel chuckled nervously as she dried her hands, but Dawn stared bewildered as water continued to run into the sink. I sheepishly slipped out of the bathroom, relieved the woman decided against rearing her ugly head tonight. Well, it wasn't really ugly, but that was beside the point. Customers interacting with her never turned out well. My relief only lasted a moment, though. I made it to the start of the hallway and saw a dark figure pressed against the front windows. My veins turned to ice. "Jude." My voice was barely above a whisper, but Jude turned to me, then followed my gaze to the window. "Trash man," he gasped. "Oh shit," I replied. Then the power went out. I'd never seen Trashman before. If I'm honest, part of me wasn't sure if he existed. As wild as it was that bugs spontaneously manifested in the trash, it just seemed improbable that someone was coming to pick them up from the edge of the parking lot. I thought Jude was fucking with me. I should have known better. I squinted to read the clock face above the drink section. 12:07. We were late. Jude vaulted over the counter, kicking the map and snacks onto the floor as he raced to the front door, arms outstretched to help him navigate the darkness. Adam and his son yelled in protest, but Jude was on the move. As soon as I saw the panic kit in his hand, I knew shit was about to hit the fan. He pulled the salt from the bag in a flash and poured a thick line of it in front of the door before turning to face Trashman. The power outage extended to the parking lot, and without those lights I could barely make out his dark, looming figure as he stood fixed in the window. He wore some sort of hooded cloak that obscured his face, and his frame was enormous, easily twice the size of Jude. Malice exuded from him. "What's going on?" Rachel demanded as she and Dawn exited the restroom. She briskly walked past me to join her husband and son at the counter. Dawn lingered next to me, her eyes wide. "That's what I'd damn well like to know," Adam said indignantly. "That should hold him for now." Jude's voice was confident, but his distraught expression was concerning. "Well, who the hell is that?" the boy asked, his tone reminiscent of his father's. "Gregory," Rachel scoffed. A brief smirk crossed Adam's face before he placed his hand on Gregory's shoulder and pulled him close. A loud clunk broke the silence, and Jude and I locked eyes. "I'll get it," I said softly before turning and walking down the hall to the manager's office. No one's seen the manager before. He doesn't leave his office, and no one goes in. He communicates through notes that he slides through the mail slot in his door, their delivery signaled by the solid clunk of the flap closing. While I'd never received one before, Jude's rule is that we follow all directions from the manager. I agree, but mostly because I'm pretty sure he signs out paychecks. I could hear Adam and Jude arguing as I rounded the corner. I had no idea how Jude was going to explain any of this, but I was glad I didn't have to do it. I picked up the paper and read the manager's instructions. Fuck. When I returned, Trashman had disappeared from the window. The family had grouped together against the front counter while Jude paced in front of the door. He stopped when he saw me. "What did he say?" Jude asked. "What did who say?" Adam barked. I swallowed hard. "The manager says, we need a sacrifice," the beagle whined. "Shut up, Zipper," Adam roared. The dog, along with the kids, shrank back. Rachel stepped forward. "Can I speak with this manager?" she asked. "I'm sure if we had more information, this could be an easier process." "To hell with that. This doesn't have anything to do with us. We're leaving." Adam grabbed the map from the floor and marched toward the door. Jude blocked his path. "You can't go out there." "The hell I can. I don't know what kind of con the two of you are running, but my family and I are leaving. He's hungry and he's hunting, okay? We have to stay here and figure out what the manager meant." Adam shoved Jude hard, cutting his speech short. "Honey, wait," Rachel cried. Both of the kids were clinging to her now. "Damn it, Rachel, not now," Adam bellowed. He pushed past Jude and held the door open. "All of you out." I'm still not sure if it was the tone of Adam's voice or the word "out" that sent the little beagle scrambling for the door. I had a sneaking suspicion that he was quite accustomed to the volume. Either way, he took off at breakneck speed and barreled through Jude's legs and out the door into the void of the parking lot and certain death. "Zipper, no!" Gregory cried. I think we were all still in shock from Zipper's jailbreak. So much so that when Gregory broke free of his mother's grip and sprinted for the door, no one reacted. One moment he was there. The next, we were watching his sneaker disappear into the darkness. Rachel's scream was heartbreaking as she called out her son's name. Jude slammed the door and leaned his body against it, his breathing quick and shallow, his face contorted with regret. Rachel collapsed to the ground, sobbing. Dawn held onto her mother's dress with a white-knuckle grip. Adam was rooted to the spot. A blinding flash of light signaled the power being restored. The parking lot was empty. No signs of Trashman, Gregory, or Zipper. Jude took a deep breath, then made his way behind the counter. Rachel, Dawn, and Adam blinked and looked around in confusion. "Did you want anything besides that map, sir?" Jude asked. I stared at him in disbelief. Adam looked down at the map in his grip, then back to Jude. No, I don't think so." His voice sounded far away. Rachel and Dawn shuffled to join him in front of the door. "Thanks for stopping in. Safe travels." Jude sounded almost mechanical in his farewell. The family nodded hesitantly. Adam opened the door for them to leave, and much to everyone's surprise, Zipper the Beagle came scurrying in through the door. "Oh, thank God," I sighed. A silver lining. The family just looked at me as confused as anyone could be. "Your dog, Zipper." "Oh, we don't have a dog," Rachel said softly. Dawn shook her head in solidarity. Adam cleared his throat and mother and daughter shuffled out into the parking lot. "But your son?" I asked, a twinge of desperation in my voice. Adam's brow furrowed as his confusion turned to frustration. Then he followed Rachel and Dawn out. "They won't remember." Jude's voice broke the silence that followed Adam's exit. Zipper sat at my feet and whined. I knelt down and picked him up gingerly. He had no signs of being hurt, though he was missing his collar. "So that's what happens when we don't take the trash out," I said. Jude nodded and turned on the mini TV before gesturing to the mess of snacks on the floor. "And someone needs to clean that up." Our second story is, I worked that late-night shift at 7-Eleven. I've only been working a month at this job, and it's already been the worst experience I've ever had in a working environment. My manager is a complete prick, my pay is minuscule, and dealing with customers is obnoxious. I should have tried in school. The saying, "reap what you sow," has never been more apparent than it is now. Thing about high school that I always took for granted, at least you got to see people and talk to them every day, and you never got that true feeling of loneliness. It's only when you go out into the real world and live on your own that you begin to realize how alone you truly are. My life consists of living in an apartment, smoking and selling bud, and playing PUBG until I finally have to get off my ass and work at 7-Eleven. I recently got moved to the night shift, and at night usually there are very few people who show up. It's always the same characters. The guy working late and getting a coffee, the high school kids attempting to buy vapes and cigarettes underage, and the stoned guy buying chips. Usually I just put on a podcast on my phone and drown it all out. This guy came in a couple days ago while I was sitting down with my headphones in. I was listening to the NoSleep podcast, and I look outside the glass door to see this guy in a business suit, staring inside the 7-Eleven in the middle of the street. I looked at him for a little bit, just me and him making eye contact. And then I sat down and passed him off as some idiot high out of his mind, or some teenager doing a stupid prank. Guy came in, and after a minute of looking around the place, just started talking to himself. The guy sounded like he was doing some infomercial or something. He would say things like, "Have you ever felt nauseous, anxious, scared? It's 3 in the morning and you're scared to run. But don't be afraid. There's an easy solution. There's never been a better time to try this new amazing product. It gives you the quick and easy way to not feel scared. Hello? My name is Jack Conway, and I've been with this company for years. Let me tell you, this product is one of the best I've ever had. If you are listening, please call now at 1-800-DOT-MAY-DIE. If you call now, you can get an extra 12% off. Please call now at 1-800-DOT-MAY-DIE. If you call in the next 15 minutes, we'll send you a free rod. He just kept going on like this until finally I interrupted him and said, "Excuse me, are you okay?" He just stared at me and kept saying the phone number. I finally had enough and called it. What happened fucked me up for life. As soon as I called that number, I felt this rush of electricity enter my body and my entire reality shifted. I was no longer in whatever realm we call our world. Everything was hazy, black and white, and distorted. The man who was standing there had become a black figure and took my phone and ran out the door. I was still in the 7-Eleven, and I could see a shining bright light. It was like a fever dream as I left and walked around outside. The sky was gray, with black clouds. I could see it was daytime, and I ran around town trying to find someone to talk to. The streets were empty, no cars, no people, and it was absolute silence. I was panicking, and I had no idea where I was. I saw the black figure in the distance. It was the outline of a person, and I screamed out to him. The guy shifted his body slightly and remained motionless. I began to run towards him, but with every step closer, he seemed farther away. I've never done shrooms, LSD, or any type of psychedelic drug, but if I ever had a bad trip, this is what I imagine it would be like. After what seemed like forever, the man finally moved and ran into a house. The door was wide open, and I went into it. It seemed like somebody's home, and as I ran up the stairs, I could see doors start to open. I could feel something pulling at my arm and trying to drag me down. Finally, I got into the room of the figure. It turned around, and we just stared at each other for a second. The figure walked up to me, and out of nowhere it started strangling me to the floor. It knocked over a lamp next to me, and with all my power I took the lamp and jabbed the figure on the side of the head. I kept beating it until it was finally unconscious. I could hear distorted voices screaming, and suddenly I found my phone on the floor out of battery. I ran back to the 7-Eleven to charge it. I dialed in the number I had called before. When I dialed the number, I was back in our reality with the man gone. One thing was off for some reason. I had blood on my hands. I sprinted over to the security footage to see what had happened. When I saw what happened, I shit myself. I was put in a dream-like state, and the man had taken my phone and sprinted out, and I shortly followed. I left the 7-Eleven at 4 a.m., and as I was driving home, I noticed one of the houses had police and ambulances, the same one I had entered before. I'm fucked. I went home and got all my necessities and skipped town. I'm currently a fugitive. I don't know what the fuck happened or who I did that to, but I'm not going back. I received a text from that number days later with a video of me entering the house with a text reading, "We saw what you did. We need a new host. Send this number to another person or we will release the video." Whoa. So I thought, where would be the best place to post a number that people would most certainly call, as long as it had some context behind it? To whoever is next, I'm sorry, but this was your doing, and I feel no guilt if this is what you choose to do. Our third story is, do not take the night shift. I messed up. I messed up big time. They are coming for me. Shit, I can hear their footsteps outside the door already. Listen, if you see a flyer or ad for a night guard position at a prison, do not take it. I made the mistake of accepting the job, and I know they are going to look for a new person to guard the prison now that I can't. I didn't have a warning. No one told me what I was signing up for, and I think I owe it to everyone to bring out the truth. I don't want people having to go through what I did. It all started this morning when I was looking for a new job now that my teaching career was over. While browsing the internet, I came across an ad looking for someone to take up a night guard position. I couldn't have been more happy seeing that offer. The images of just sitting in a chair looking at CCTV, not having to think much or bother moving, flashed through my head. Hell, I would be getting paid to do practically nothing. What could be better? I was ecstatic to take the job until I realized I would be guarding a prison. This set me off a little, considering I wasn't sure how I would guard a prison. I also didn't like the idea of having to chase down a possible murderer if they got loose. This uneasiness probably should have warned me that I shouldn't take the job. This and the fact that a job description was completely non-existent. So yeah, this was kinda sketchy. But rent was coming up and I barely had enough money for that, let alone the electricity and water bills. So I applied for the job. Not even 30 minutes later, I received a call from the employers. They said I had the job, no interview, no background check, I just had the job. Now, this was really sketchy. It raised a lot of red flags that I ignored. I mean, come on. I was financially in a corner and needed the money. What else could I do but happily accepted the job and asked when I started? My first shift was that night starting at 8:00, but they wanted me there by 7:45 to be briefed. Once I arrived, I was greeted by the day guard who was just about to leave. He had locked the office door, the one with all the cameras I had expected to stay in, and told me I wouldn't be using it. He then gave me a letter telling me I was meant to read it before beginning my job. Before leaving, he wished me luck, saying the job was probably unpleasant because there had been a new night guard every day this week. He wasn't wrong about it being unpleasant. After he left, I was a bit shaken up, but I tried to brush off the worrying feeling. I was already here and couldn't turn back now. So I opened the letter to read my briefing, and that's when things went wrong. To whoever the night guard is, thank you for accepting this job. There is no need to watch for criminals on cameras or patrol the area of the prison, but there are a set of rules that must be followed precisely and exactly. From 8090, spread salt in a straight line in front of cells 105, 118, 304, 323, and 446, 448, while repeating the phrase "Capti Manere." It's crucial you finish this process before 90. If you fail to do so, lock yourself in the employee bathroom with the lights off and pray they don't find you. At 9:15, you will begin to hear scratches and growling in cells 2027 and 5064. Ignore them, and don't look into the cells. If at any point between 10:00 and 10:15 you feel a cold breeze, hide under a desk in the employee lounge and do not breathe for 30 seconds. If you feel the need to, you may stay under the desk for longer than 30 seconds. At 11 a.m., if you are still under the desk, it is highly recommended you get out and turn off all lights. During this time, you may experience an extreme fear of the dark. Ignore it. No matter what you do, don't turn on the lights. They can't see you when it's dark. Now, it is extremely important that consecutively every 15 minutes, starting at 12 ending and including 3:45, you go to cell 13 and knock each door 3 times, each knock 1 second apart. They like consistency and they cherish noise. Do not forget, I repeat, do not forget to do this. If you fail to do so correctly, hide in the employee bathroom with the lights off. They will find you, but at least you will have time to say goodbye. If you are still intact and are currently not relying on hiding in the bathroom, your job is nearly done. Just make sure to lock yourself in the employee lounge and ignore all knocks on the door and window. If you see a figure in the window, don't look at it for more than 10 seconds. It should leave after an hour. Once you see the sun rise, you may leave. Remember, you should be fine as long as you follow these instructions. Good luck. It is now currently 4 a.m. I'm hiding in the bathroom and forgot to knock at 3:45. Goodbye.